Hey, what's up everyone? This is Burnout Fighter. So the open beta is coming up very soon. Also in my local fighting game venue here in Korea. We are also gonna have a tournament as a celebration of the open beta itself, as we are closing into its release date. Since we're gonna have a tournament in a offline format, I was gonna just do some tech checks in terms of the PC specs. As some of you may have considered, as well as some research of upgrading your PC, getting ready for the StreetFighter 6 graphic requirements. The past closed beta and the demo has proven that it was quite a pleasant surprise for those who've experienced the era back in the StreetFighter 4 and the StreetFighter 5 days. In most of the cases, it was positively viewed. However, there were some hiccups at the time.
What the f was that?
That was considered that they may need to work or improve on. One thing for sure that I am confident to say is the speed of the loading time of Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 6 is a gigantic difference. And another positively reviewed factor was the speed of rematching during local versus gameplay. Without further ado, if we check the system requirements for Street Fighter 6, it is to be run on at least i5 or Ryzen 3 1200, a RAM of 8GB, and a graphic card of either a GTX 1060 or a Radeon RX 580. The test I was able to do on my end with one of our PC setups here at the Core A events venue, while checking with our weakest spec PC, our weakest CPU that we had in the venue was a Ryzen 5 3600 with a GTX 1060. It did have a 16GB of memory. I believe an upgrade from 8GB to 16GB would be the least expensive option then for anyone to upgrade their CPU or graphics card. So I did a very rough recording of the gameplay. I purposely did not code using a capture card because the captured gameplay footage during the rendering of this video, there may be an alteration or things like different bit rates when it comes to rendering from its original status. So therefore, I purposely kind of use my phone. I apologize for any blurriness or the unprofessionalism. However, I can assure you that at most times it did keep its 60 frames per second in the Steam overlay that shows the frame rate. The only times that it did go to perhaps 59 or 59 point something was during the super animation, when the screen had to like either zoom in or add any other special effects. I did play around with the graphic settings a little bit and came down to this specific details. Graphic specifics, I let the internal resolution at maximum while played on the borderless window mode. Max frame rate 60, which regardless of what number you put it here, it will lock at 60 frames per second in local versus. I believe this was more to do with World Tour mode. And the remaining graphic settings such as motion blur, VSync, anti-aliasing, all of them were turned off, as most of them were more to do with the cosmetic side of things. The quality differences for lighting, texture, mesh quality, shadows, and etc. with all high, low, lowest, standard, and everything. But this was my current conclusion of how they should be, to be run on a GTX 1060 while keeping decent visuals and locking it in 60 frames per second. So I hope this helps out with some of you with PCs which still feels like it's out of date. Your Street Fighter 6 experience will be decent enough to be competitive and as well as enjoy both online and offline experience. Regardless of whether you're a competitive player or just a casual enjoyer with all of its single player goodness, I'm sure everybody will have a good time and enjoy Street Fighter 6